We'll do a review in Lekut Sichas in Chelek Chof, volume 20, the first Sicha for the Parshas Lech Lecha. The Rebbe addresses here a very simple, obvious, troubling question that Abram asks Sarah not to say that she is his wife because he was afraid if they found out that she is his wife, they would kill him and she would be taken. So he tells her to say that she is his sister. But the real issue we have, he says, and then they'll give me gifts. So what is this gifts? Have any value when we're talking about life and we're talking about Sarah being taken away into Pharaoh's home? What are we talking about? How could it be that the gift should overpower? Now the Rebbe brings the Zohar. The Zohar asks the same question, but also in the Zohar's answer, it's a little bit difficult to understand what the Zohar, even though they were secure, they knew that Hashem is going to help Sarah, nothing is going to happen to her. But how could he say this is for money? And it doesn't seem like the Zohar really addresses it so fully. In the question answer, the Rebbe will quote, the Rebbe explains that basically that Avram saw this as an opportunity of Hashem's fulfillment of his promise, that I'll make you for a great nation, and I'll also bless you that you'll be with a good fortune, with a lot of money. He saw this as a means for that. The Rebbe explains that this is also a spiritual fortune, not only materialistic, but also to bringing out all the sparks over there. And the Rebbe discusses also the difference between the two levels of Achoisi, my sister, which represents the natural love, versus Ishti, while Ishti is in an acquired love, but yet it's more powerful, and how it also relates in Avodas Hashem. But we'll go step by step. Lech Lecha, Aleph. Auf dem, was Avram hat gesagt, Soren, fahren, ankommen came Mitzrayim. About this, that Avram said to Sarah before they reached Mitzrayim, he says, V'hoyo ki yiru oisach ha-Mitzrim. It will be when the Egyptians see you, V'amru ishta zois, and they will say, well, this is his wife. V'horgu oisi v'oisach yichayu. Then they'll kill me and let you live. And therefore, he's asking her that Imrina, please say, Achoisiat, you're my sister, Leman yitav li ba'avurech. So to me will be done good because of you. Yitav li ba'avurech, v'choison nafshi biglolech. And my soul will live because of you. In other words, I will remain alive. But the first thing that he says is they'll do good to me because of you, and I'll be allowed to stay alive. Is Yedua di Shaila, so it's known the question. Avraham eingestellt Soran in Azam Matzav. How could Avraham place Sarah in such a situation as the Mitzrim Zolun Ir Tsunemen, that the Egyptian will take her away by saying, Achoisiat, that you are my sister, today as Erzol durch dem geratet werden, so that he should be saved. He is putting her in such a situation. But we'll see. So that the Forshim seine Mevair, wie Azoi Avram hat dabei nicht overgiven kein Isur, they explain that Avram did not violate any prohibition. And in Zohar state, and in the Zohar it states, as Avram is given zicher as der Schus von Sarah, that Avram was certain that the merit of Sarah vet ihr beistehen is going to stand by her. She will not be touched. He was sure about that. So the first question, how would he expose her to such a situation to save himself? The answer, the Zohar says that he knew that nothing is going to happen to her. But we still need to understand, why does he say that they'll give me gifts? Es ist aber legamre nicht verstandig. It is totally not understood. Those was Avram hat ausgeführt, this that Avram concluded, Leman yitav li bavurech, they should do good to me because of you. What does this mean, yitav li? Was das meint? This means, Rashi teaches it, Asul ir sagen because she says that you are my sister. She's saying to Avram she's saying about Avram that he is my sister. Vetman im geb matones, he will get gifts. So that's totally not understood. How you talking? How can we possibly say as b'shas retzach wegen when it dealing with such a serious situation? Einzustellen Soren in azamatze bilti rotzui, to put Sarah in such a unwanted condition. In other words, even if they're not going to do anything, like you said, he was sure they're not going to touch it, but still, it's not a welcome situation to be taken to the home of Pari in order and the reason he had to do it is because he was in danger for his life. But how do we talk about monetary situations? Or dabei teufels mokum sein. So this should be important. It should take place. This is important. Das was vet bakum matonis. This that he's going to get gifts. So that, how could that be in the situation when we're talking in such a serious situation? Biz as das is got the erster time of them. In the order of the Chumash, it says but first it says leman yitav li bavurech. So the first reason is imrino achoisiat. Say you're my sister, leman yitav li bavurech, so that they will do good to me. They'll give me gifts. And then it says, how could we be talking about getting gifts and presents? That's why he is putting her in such a condition. So even though it's necessary to save his life and he's sure nothing's going to happen to her, but to put her in such a condition so that he can get gifts and become rich because of that, how could that possibly, how do we explain this? And now the Rebbe brings the Lashon of the Zohar and also questions that in the Zohar, the language is also not so clear, giving the reason why Avram will do that. So what does he ask? The Zohar says like this, base. The Zohar stellt sich auf dem, the Zohar places himself on this issue and fragt, and he asks, Avram the ihu dochel chato, is then Avram, he was a fearful of sin, he was a yerechet. He was also Rechimu de Kutchebrich. He was loved by Hashem. Avram Daitiv. Hashem loved Avram. Haba Omer Hachi al Itze. He would say so about his wife that she's his sister. Begin the Yutvin lay so that they will do good to him. How could we say that? That's the question the Zohar. Answered. What does the Zohar answer? As Avram lo yisomach al zuchusa delay. Avram did not rely on his own merits. Veloy boy min kutchebrichu la'apokos zuchusa. He didn't ask from Hashem to bring out his merits. Elo al zuchuse the itze. It was the merit of his wife, of Sarah. The Ravach Beginom Memoina Deshar Armin, so that he should benefit because of his wife, because of Sarah, the money of the other nations from the Mitzrayim. Da Memoina Beitze Zochi Le Barnash, a money the person earns his livelihood, his money is the merit of the wife. The wife is the one that brings the zuchus for his money. And therefore, he was going to get the money through the merit of his wife. And the Zohar explains in detail how through a woman who is understanding, a smart woman is menzoicha bekula, one merits everything. The noch is the Zohar mamshich, and the Zohar later on continues. The samech al zchusa dilo, he further relied on her merit. The lo yochlun la noshalei, that they will not be able to punish him, and to do mechayich with her, to take her in. He was sure that they're not going to be able to do anything to her, not going to be able to be mesachik bo, as the posuk metzachik lechayich again. Ubegine kach, and because of this, layohiv midi, or there's another gears over here. The Rebbe brings down leidochil midi, layohiv midi, leidochil midi. He wasn't afraid at all, the Meimer Achoisi, to say it's my sister. So, first thing the Zohar addresses over here, that he knew he wasn't in his chus, it was his chus of his wife, and money comes in the chus of his wife. So this was the money that he was going to get, this chus of his wife. And then he addresses, but what about, that's the Italy. What about the staying alive? So he says he relied on her chus, that they won't be able to do anything to him, and not anything to her. And that's why he wasn't afraid to say that she's my sister. But here the Rebbe says, the Zohar goes in and at length explains how the money comes. Abraham wanted to make money off of Sarah because money comes from the wife. But we're talking about such a serious situation that should be addressed first. The Zohar addresses it at the end about what happens, that he was sure that they won't be able to do anything. But also, we here in this Zohar, we still need to understand that Iker Kushya from Zohar. The main question of the Zohar is V'chi Avram Chulu have Omer Hochi al Itze begin the Yotvinlei. Would Avram say such a thing about his wife, that she's a sister? Would he say that so that they will do good to him? Begin Bishvil the Yotvinlei, they should do good to him. So what's the main question? Is Lech now? The question is, as the Rebbe articulated in the beginning, how would he place his wife, Soren, in Azam Matzav, in such a condition, begin the youthfully, so that he can so that they'll go to him? Also, if them is that Tirus Bepashtus, so what is the answer? How come he did it? As Bavrom is given borud lo yochlon l'chaycha boy, that he was clear and knew sure that they would not be able to be metzachik with her, that they wouldn't do anything, couldn't do anything to her on the river, and therefore he didn't have any problem to say she was my sister, because that's not a problem. So why does the Zohar, and in the beginning of his answer, as Avram is given batuach the Ravach begin that he was sure that because of her he's going to profit, he's going to make money. He goes into length how this Yishavaskelos der Iker. But the main point, the main answer that the Zohar needs to give, that he was sure nothing is going to happen to her, as Ba'im is given Zicha, that he was certain, as Mevetil Gornit Kenanton, that they would not be able to do anything to her. The Zohar concludes that only at the end. Nochmer. In addition, the Rebbe says, why does this whole thing, his chus, her chus, he doesn't want his chus, why is that? How does that connect to this answer over here? whose chus it is. B'ascholos hatiret zog der Zoyar. In the beginning of the answer, the Zoyar says, Lo yisomich al zuchusa delay. He did not rely on his zuchus. He did not ask from Hashem to take out his chus, but his wife was lechayre is doing ganzen negeye zum tirutz hashayla. This whose chus it was is totally not connected to answer the question. Question was, Avram have Omer Hochel al Itze begin to Yotvile, would Avram then say so about his wife, so to do good to him? So we have to answer that question, not whose chus he was relying on. And the Rebbe begins now to explain in his Gimel that this was, Avram saw this as the opportunity to be able to fulfillment the promise of Hashem. He saw this Hashem leading him in that direction. Here's Gimel. What's the explanation? About der Eibishter hat gesagt Avromen, since Hashem said to Avram, as durch Lech Lecha that when he's going to leave his land, read in the beginning of the parsha, etc., that there's he's going to merit to the Escha Legoy Godel, make you to a great nation. And I will bless you. Blessing means money. And I'll make your name great. Meint the moment. Berecha means with money. Is by Avromen given obgelegt as das was der Eibishter hat gefiert azoi. By to Avram it made sense. It was actually accepted as das was der Eibishter hat gefiert azoi, when the Eibishter led in such a way. As Avram had gemusst weggehen von Eretz Yisrael, that Avram needed to leave Eretz Yisrael, mishe yotzu lotzeis masiyah lotzeis mimenu. He's sort of using Rashi's loshon that he is counseling him, advising him to go out of Eretz Yisrael. Und yored sein Mitzrayim, and to descend to Mitzrayim. Is euch verbunden mit der Durchführung von dem Eibishter'n Haftoche. So that this is associated with bringing about Hashem's promise, va'avorechecho, was wird aufgetan durch Lech Lecha. I will bless you, which is accomplished through Lech Lecha. So this is why the Eibishter is telling you, because the Eibishter wants to accomplish his promise of Vavarechecha. Since in nature he saw a way, how this blessing can be accomplished, in Mitzrayim, with money in Egypt. The Eibishter sending him there. Durch dem was Sora wird sagen, as sie ist seine Schwester, by Sora saying that she is his sister. Hat the Fall gesagt, that's why he said, Imri no achoisi at leman yitav li bavorech. Say you're my sister, so that they'll do good to me because of you. Wie sie starke gewen bepoil, and as actually it was in actuality, as durch them, was sie hat das gesagt, by saying so, it happened. Is will Avram hated bavur, he did Avram good, because of Sarah, and he got all the cattle and the sheep and the donkeys. He looked at it as a means of the Eibishter fulfilling it by descending in Mitzrayim, by saying to Sarah that she's his sister. And that's why he said, to fulfill Hashem's promise. And that actually took place. And this is also in the inner meaning to not only bring fortune physically, financially, but also on the spiritual level to bring in all the great sparks from Egypt. That's why he needed to go down there. Just as it's on the simple level, it's also in the inner matter of things. Durch Lech Lecha hat Avram gedarft zukommen Through Lech Avram needed to reach to an aliyah halicha b'madregis ruchnis. He needed to go through his Lech Lecha. He needed to go in high spiritual steps, elevated spiritual steps. Durch mevarer u'maila zayin din nitzoytzos kedusha in Welt, by sorting out and elevating the sparks of kedusha in the world. Und die Kavone is euch gewähnt in sein Yerida Mitzrayim. And that intended purpose of elevating and bringing in sparks to elevate them was why he descended to Mitzrayim. Zum Mevare sein, the Nitzutzes Gedusha was gefunden sich dort, in order to sort out the holy sparks which are in Egypt. Und wie bald as in Yonei Mitzvahs. And since that when we do a mitzvah, we do them naturally. We're not supposed to do it miraculously. But Zeir Teuchen is der Birur Nitzutz, is HaKedusha from Welt, because what the idea of a mitzvah and the idea of the Birur is to take the world and sort it out. So the idea is to sort out the Nitzutz's Kedusha from the world in the natural way, not to impose it like from outside, but to mitzvah to get the nature itself to sort it out. So mitzvahs need to be done, generally speaking, in a natural way. And that's why Avram said to Sarah, please say you're my sister. Was durch dem wird beöffnet TV durchgeführt werden, der Mekuvan von sein Yerida Mitzrayim. That way, in a natural way, will be accomplished the intent of his descent to Egypt. That's going to fulfill the purpose of the descent in Egypt. The Aliyah von Avram, durch Birur HaNitzutzes, the elevation of Avraham by sorting the tzutzes, Leman Yitav Li Ba'avureich. When he says Achoisi At, he's going to be able to elevate himself because of Sarah, because he will be able to get more nitzutzes and more sparks in the elevation of Avraham, which is the purpose of Hashem sending him. So he should be elevated and elevating these sparks. So what is the question of the Zohar? The Zohar's question really is, since we're talking about an elevation that Avram is getting by his going from descent in Mitzrayim, he's going to be elevated through the sort of being taken over there by saying Achoisi At, and he's going to be able to get the sparks even to a higher level. Well, how could he subject Sarah so that he gets the higher level? He's putting Sarah down into the level to go into the base parish, saying Achoisi At, so that he can be a higher level. The kasha from Zohar is, the question of the Zohar is, according to this way we were explaining, it turns out as the Yotven lay that what's being done is for him, for Avram. That Yitaf, the Aliyah durch Birur HaNitzutzes, that elevation that comes through sorting out of the sparks, that Yitaf, the goodness, wird sein nur zu Avram, and that's going to be only to Avram, und nicht zu Sarah. Not Sarah. But because not only is it not going to elevate Sarah, Sarah wird sich gefunden by the Mitzrim. She's going to find herself by the Egyptians. This is given the poil as it was in actuality, but Tukacha Isha Beis Pare. She was taken to the home of Pare. Although they would not be able to touch her, but she was still taken over there. So what is the Zohar's problem? Is the Kashi. The question is, wie kemen zogen, how could we say, as Avraham zol goyrim zayin as a yirida, for Sarah, that Avraham should cause such a descent for Sarah. To zayin beveis pare, so that she should be now so pare, sub der aliyah was vet haben davon, because of the elevation that he is going to have from the fact that she's going to go into base pare by saying achoisiat. Unchoch by Avram is given bor. Although to Avram it was very clear that this is the Abish that wants his aliyah, wants him to elevate the netzutzes. And he knew very clearly as the tachlis yiridosil Mitzrayim, that the goal of the descent of Mitzrayim is to live that aliyah, is because of this elevation, yitav li, it's going to be good to him, to his elevation. Is doch kama derachim lamokim. There's many different paths, way for Hashem to fulfill this yitav li elevation of Avram. Hat Avram gedarft verlassen sich auf den Obersten. So Avram should have relied on Hashem, das wird durchgeführt werden bei von Achar, that this will be accomplished in some other way. Aber nicht durch der Yerida von Sarah, but not through the descent of Sarah. So now the question is, why did Avram do this? Yes, let it be for the elevation, and let it be that he knew that Hashem wanted him to be elevated. But why does he agree to this path instead of looking that Hashem find another way to him be able to elevate the other sparks? When if them entered the Zohar, and that's why the Zohar answers Lo Yisomich al Zechusa delay, Ella al Zechusa di'itzi. He was not relying on his own merit, but on the merit of his wife. The Ravach Begina Memoina, because of her, he is going to make the money. The Memoina Be'itze Zachili Banash, because money is in the merit of the wife that a person merits it. So therefore, this was the way to benefit from the aliyah, needs to come through the wife. So Arvochas Mammon is the Barnash Zoicha, to profiting, to getting money. A human being, a Barnash, is merit Zoicha durch Itze, through his wife. Und von dem ist verstanden. We're talking ordinarily, any kind of monetary benefits the person gets through his wife. But from this is understood, as Azoi says, that this is also the way it's in the spiritual matter of things. In order that it should be accomplished, the elevation by sorting out the Mitzrayim, just like regular parnosa comes from the wife. So in order to get that aliyah is nit genug zayin yerida Mitzrayim. It's not sufficient that Avram descends to Mitzrayim. Ken sich nit verlassen auf zayin zuchus. He cannot rely on his merit alone. That's not. Not as dav zayin zuchus of the itze, needs to be the merit of the wife. It's specifically through her descent into the house of Pare. That's the way that you're going to elevate the sparks. The Ravach Begina that he's going to benefit because of her, the money of the other nation. That's why this is the explanation of the Zohar, that he can't do it just alone. It has to come from the wife. As the tachlis from der Yerida is the aliyah, since the goal of the descent is the elevations which will be accomplished durch der isha maskelis, this smart woman Sarah, is move on. It's understood as that in her merit, Avram isn't going to be punished for sending her over there, because this is all done to be accomplished through the Isha Maskelis brings about, and that's why that is the Seder that needs to be, and in her schus, they won't be able to punish him. This will not cause a descent by Avram that he sent her there, and would not descend Avram and not do anything to her. Unit can Yerida in Sora, not Yerida in Sora. So basically, Rebbe explains that the issue was that Avram took this as a sign from heaven that he needs to go down to Mitzrayim in order to earn Avarecha money. This was parts of Hashem's plan. On the physical, simple sense, financially, to become rich, and that actually took place through Sarah, and therefore he brought her into that situation because that was very clearly to him the Eibishter's wanting how he should gain that money. But the Zohar says, but still, even though you know that's what the goal is, to avorecha, to make the money, but why do you endanger your wife and put her in such a situation? And that's why the Zohar says that this is the way it has to go through, both in the physical, financially, but also on the spiritual, to bring about the elevation of sparks that you get from Mitzrayim when they bring him all the Eitiv Bavuro, then he got all the fortune, and that's allows him to elevate the spark. So he realized that this is because the elevation can only come to the Yerida of Sora. And it's not that there could be other ways, and why did Abraham do this as the Zohar asked? The answer is there is no other way, because the Parnasa comes in the schus of the wife, the elevation of the Netzutzes comes through the wife. And he was sure that he's not going to be punished for doing it, and she is not going to descend by going to Beis Parah. So what's the lesson for that? Just like all things that took place with our forefather, is Oich der Inyan Hanal, also the above matter, Asiman Labonim, it's a sign for the children. Ahira in Avodas Ha'odam, this is a lesson in the service of man. What a yid in serving Hashem. In der Klolus Yeride HaNeshama Bichlal, generally when a soul comes down in the body, the soul is like Abraham, the body is like Sarah. Ubefrat in the Yeridin goals, especially coming down into this world, and especially when we come down in exile. But Avram Besora Zayin Meramis, Avram Besora, they hint of the beginners von Neshama v'guf, on the level of the soul and the body. The soul is Abraham and the body is Sarah, the soul coming down to the body. This is Mevur Baruch in Zohar, as explained at length in Zohar. Bahainu, so what does this mean? So the Rebbe explains there's two ways of the relationship between the soul and the body, that this connection of the soul and the body. Whether the main thing is the soul, but you can sense it in the body, or is the soul is working with the body? Let's look inside, behind it. In the Avodah Torah's mitzvahs, ubirin and tzutzas, and adot tzvei fanim klolim, there are two general ways. Aleph, the Avodah is beikar durch the neshama. The main service is with the soul, through the soul. Usis nor was the Avodah herzich on euch in guf. It's only that service is sensed in the body. It's the soul working, but it sensed in the body. Beis, the Avodah tut sich oif durch dem guf und mit dem guf. It's not just that it's sensed in the body, but it is accomplished through the body and with the body. that Adam ha'eved is nit muvdal umufresh from yoneh ha'olam. The person that serves isn't separated, is not apart from the worldly matters. Adrab, the contrary, it is yored mimadrigosoi. He descends from his level on his mislabish in yoneh umaisa olam haza. He dresses himself up in matters and actions of this world. Generally, the matters of these worlds are very hard and bad, and there's a lot of evil that overpower them. So you go down into this world, into this goof, into the world, when he's dort mekayim Torah mitzvahs, and you fulfill their Torah mitzvahs, mevared in the gedusha was gefinnen sich dort, and he sorts out the godly sparks that are there in the world. Bechlolus is dos al derech hamavur baruch in Chassidus. Generally speaking, this is similar to what's explained in Chassidus, the tzvei fane avodas, the two styles, the two types of avodah, from bechinas achoisi, a level of my sister, and bechinas ishti, or the level of my wife. Difference, as explained, achoisi is the level of a natural love, and ishti, that's an acquired love. Those are the zwei darge in Avis Hashem. These are the two steps in the love of Hashem. Those are similar to the two levels of love, which is bein och ve'ochis, ubein ish ve'isha, between a brother and a sister, and a husband and a wife. The ava musuteres vasido by yeder id mitzad nafshe halikis, that hidden love which exists by every Jew from his godly soul. Was the ava is b'teva toldosim, that love is naturally, they're born with it. Un si is in irnit shaykh kein hefsek, and there can be no interruption in that love. Is bedugmas hava von och v'ochis, that's similar to the love of a brother and a sister. Was is an ahavativus mitoldosim, it's a natural love from birth. Un si is in that ahava nit kein hefsek, and in that love there is no interruption. Nit vi in der ave ben ishli isha, unlike the love between a husband and a wife, was in it is shaykh hefsek, it's possibility of an interruption durch gerushin, through divorce. Oberly, on the other hand, mahai time gufa, for that reason alone, while the ave von och va'ochis is an inyan tivit. So there is also a drawback, because it's a natural love and it's always never stopped, is in that ave nitokein simoin v'klois hanefesh. In that love, there's no thirst, there's no expiration of the soul in it. Usi is in them nitosh leimus hayichud, there is no wholesomeness of the union of like it is by a husband and a wife. Hayoisas is eine gufi muchalokim, because they're separate bodies. So that means, even though it's a constant, it's always, but that level, it lacks that thirst and expiration of the soul, and lacks that shleimus hayichud. In the ave was wird der weckt in und durch den Birur von Guf und Nefesh Hamis, as opposed to the love that is awakened and comes through the sorting out of the body and the animal soul. When you work and you work with the body and the animal soul, that becomes that becomes similar to the love of a man and his wife. Although there's an interruption possible, we said before, this is not their natural, so there could be it's not a natural phenomenon, and therefore it could be an interruption. Is over dafke in them do der tzimoin v'klois hanefesh. But over here, dafke, specifically over there, is the thirst and expiration of the soul. Und durch dem Gichut was wird al yodo is a yichud b'tachlis. The yichud was vertal yot is a yichud b'tachlis. That union that takes place through it is a total union, bis vern v'aguf echad, until they become as one body. There's a total union between the husband and his wife to become like one body. So these are similar, these two loves of ach v'achois. Those are two, whether it's mainly because of the neshama, which is like a love of a brother and a sister, which is mainly the neshama, or it's like with the goof, where there is a the working in that, and that brings out a higher level of love, like the love of ish v'isha. This is the lesson that we have from Avram's conduct. As the parnose is beschusa the itse, that the livelihood comes in the merit of the wife Sora. Tachlis v'shleimus aliyas hanishama, the goal and the wholesomeness of the elevation of the neshama is durch dem was mishik dem guf, is through the fact that you send the body to Yored Zayin in an oifon von his slapshus in Yon Elam Hazeh, to dress up in a way of dressing up in matters of this world. The dugmas Mitzrayim, similar to Egypt, is in base Pare till in the house of Pare. That brings the ultimate. That's the tzumoyin. That brings the highest level. That's the dugmas is in base Pare, to bring in base Pare. You send down the neshama all the ways down, like sending Sarah into the house of Pare. The bald as kavonas hayrida is the aliyah, since the intent of the descent is the elevation. Durch mevarer zayin dem guf and nefesh ba'amis v'chelkim ba'olam, by sorting out the body and the animal soul in this part of the world, is move on as lo yochlun la anoshalei, that you can punish him as vert nit ken yerida in the neshama. It does not bring down the neshama. And you can also not bring chaycha mitzachik, failure in the body. The guf vert nit mushka chaz v'sholem in klipa. The guf does not, God forbid, become sunk in klipa, nor adrabah. On the contrary, they both are elevated from one elevation to the other elevation. So the Rebbe brings out over here in Avodas Hashem that this level of Sorah descending in the house of Pare, which is like the neshama coming down all the ways into the guf, into the Mitzrayim, is actually the ultimate goal, and eventually not the neshama and not the guf are suffering from this. Just like by Avraham didn't fail, and and also and that is the ultimate kavanah and the goal of the descent of the neshama into this world. In Ois Hey, the Rebbe asks, so now that we have concluded that it's all about Ishtoi, and that the bracha comes beginning the Itzei, so how come it all came through Imri Noach by saying that you're my sister? It seems like it came through Achoisiyat. The Rebbe will explain this. I'll be primis yonim, how the Achoisi, he plays the role even in the extent that it is Ishti. Let's look inside. Hey. We need, however, understand all matters of Torah are totally precise. So bald as dos vos yeravach begina memoino de shar amin, and since the fact that he is going to earn because of her, the prophet, the money of the other nations. The birur hanitzutz is valiyas Avram, the sorting out of the sparks and Avram elevation is mitzad zuchusa the itzay because of the merit of his wife. Mitzad debazi is ishta because she's his wife. To wie kommt es as the revach bepoil is gekommen durch them? So how is it that the actual profit came through this? Avram is madgish. As Avram said, Leman yitav li is bavurech. That the good comes because of you, but why? By saying you're my sister. So it comes through the wife, but everything has to be precise over here. Why does the wife's zuchus come by her having to say achoisi? Balderech in der avoide ruchnis von neshama v'guf. Balderech zeh. In a similar way, when we talk about the spiritual service of the soul and the body, that Iker Ha'aliyah kum dorch nit durch b'chinas achoisi. The main elevation comes not because of the level of achoisi that Ava Hativis durch avodas haneshama atzma, which is the service of the neshama itself, nor davke durch b'chinas isha, but specifically through the level of wife davodim mit guf kanal. Is in was besteht der Auftu von achoisi in avodah. So what does therefore what is the accomplishment? What is the specialty of achoisi in avodah if the main thing is working with the guf? Wie es bringt sich in Chassidus, as Chassidus brings down. Those was Avram gesagt achoisi, when Avram said that she's my sister, meant the avativis of the neshama canal, the natural love of the neshama, I said before. So why do we need? That's not the main. The main elevation comes through the guf. But in das Verstehen behagdis habir in them was the Zohar sagt dort. We'll understand it by explaining first what the Zohar says Bascholos Ha'inyan Hanal in the beginning of this topic. The Rebbe is going to bring in also from Lekutei Levi Yitzchak, from his father and the Zohar. The Zohar begins over there, Rabbi Le'ozor have ozil lemachme le'abuye. Basically, he went to visit his father. V'havi imei Rabbi Abba, and Rabbi Abba was with him. Amar Rabbi Abba. So Rabbi Abba said, so, name a million d'oraisa, v'nezel. Let us say words of Torah and we'll go. So Posach Rabbi Lozor v'Omar. So Rabbi Lozor started to say, he says, Imrino achoisiat haikrokashi, say my sister, it's difficult to make hulu canal, as brought down before the problem, how would Abraham say achoisihi? Is mevayer that tati zayna haoris. So my father in his notes explains, Ofen Zohar. Why did he open up, expound in this verse? Because this was what Avraham said when he was going on the road to Mitzrayim with Sarah. So he said this Imri Noachisiat. Rabbi Lezer, Rabbi Abba, Himalderach Avraham Besora. Rabbi Lezer and Rabbi Abba are similar to Avraham Besora. Ki Avraham Besora Heim Bechinas Av Ve'em. Avraham and Sarah, they are father and mother. That's Avraham and Sarah, which is Chochma Bina Av Ve'em. Kumekein Rabbi Lezer Bechinas Chochma, but Rabbi Abba Bechinas Bina Chulu. Imkein Halichosum Bederech who al derech k'may halichas Avraham Besora b'derech. So they're going in the route, on the road, is similar to Avraham Besora going on the road, the Chochma Bina. But Avraham Omeros Imre Nachosiat, since Avraham said Nachosiat, Lachen Hischel Rabbi Lezer Kamkein, that's what Rabbi Lezer also started Lidresh Ba'Posuk in this Posuk. So the Rebbe's father explains that Rabbi Lozer and Rabbi Lozer and Rabbi were a Chochmah Bina, and since they spoke it, that's the way they spoke it as well. So even though we're saying that they were speaking that because that was Avram and Sarah speaking, but really we can learn about Avram and Sarah speaking from the way Rabbi Lozer and Rabbi Abba were speaking. Yeshleim the Bol Lamed. It's coming to teach. It's coming to teach what took place by Avram, by Rabbi Lozer and Rabbi Abba. And in Tzalamba we can learn with regards to Avram and Sarah. From the contents of the ideas is by Rabbi Lozer and Rabbi Abba, Bechinas Abba ve'ema Chochmah Bina. But men verstehen beprotis Yisrael will also understand it more specifically the Negei Avram Besora as it relates to Avram Besora Neshama Beguf, the soul and the body. In Seder HaSfiris is Bina Mekabel dem Seichel v'Hasoga von Chochmah. In the order of Sfiris, Bina receives the idea and understanding from Chochmah. Aber Davke durch dem was der Seichel kumt herab in Bina in an Eif von Avona. But specifically by the Seichel coming down into Bina and understanding. Which means that you get Chochmah, but you can only get Chochmah. How does Bina get Chochmah? That it descends in a way that it can be understood. Hasoga v'hasbara, you can grasp it and explain it. Bizim protum pirti protim, in details and details of details. Kumtsu atoisves ilui in etzem ha'askolam. Then there's an additional advantage in the actual idea itself. Once it's descended into Bina, there's a higher level in the Haskola. Was is not given in the Haskola Atzmo that wasn't in that understanding itself. This is gestanden in Chochmah when it wasn't Chochmah. Through the descent of Bina, in which it descended, it got a higher level in the even than the level of Chochmah. Their tam of them is what's the reason? Well, Bina hot a hecheren shoydish in koyach hamaskel b'chochmah, because Bina has a higher root in the power of a maskil to understand more than Chochmah does. Und der Riber wird durch Bina aufgetan a chiddush in Chochmah, and therefore through Bina it accomplishes a novelty in Chochmah because it's higher than Chochmah. Aber das was Bina poil tanilu in Chochmah, but how could Bina accomplish an elevation in Chochmah? It has to first receive from Chochmah. Can kommen dafke noch dem wie Bina is mekabel de haskola von Chochmah. Only after Bina receives the haskola von Chochmah, was durch dem wird nisgale in Bina ir shoyresh was is hecher von Chochmah. In Bina is revealed the root which is higher than Chochmah. Und durch dem kommt zu an Ilui in der Haskola von Chochmah. Through that, you come to an elevation in the Haskola von Chochmah, in the understanding of Chochmah. So Chochmah has to come down and descend and being received in details by Bina, and then the root of Bina becomes revealed, which is higher than Chochmah, and it's addition to the Haskola of Chochmah. Now, Derech Zeh has been negayed to Ish v'Isha, similar is also to a man and a woman. This is Mavur Ba'arucha in a minyan, as explained at length in the idea from Bina Yisera Nitna Be'isha, Yeser Mi Be'ish, that there is more Bina in a woman than by a man. So it's explained, as Choch der Vlad kum davke durch the Hashpos HaTipel von dem Ish, although the baby, the child comes from the flow of the tipo that comes from the man. But the Ishavus Havlad is Dafka the Yishul, but the way the baby is created is Dafka through the woman. Nor Hayois has the Maila Be'isha is an Inyan Atzmi Helim, but this advantage that the woman has to create the Vlad is hidden. It's not open. It's an essence and it's hidden. You need the man to bring that out. They can only come revealed nor durch them was his mekabel the hashpo for the mish. Can only come out openly after receiving the flow from the man, the amshocha from the ish, then the isha can be revealed her shirish. And durch them that nimshach agilui oir elgen milmailo ichzumish. That way there's also a revelation of a supreme light from above, also to the man. Und euch abrocha was is and also brings a blessing which includes them both. Zochar unikeva bara oisam created them Zochar unikeva by vorich oisam alikim by yomer lahem prudavu, and he says to them prudavu, in which they both get the bracha together, but that is nimshach from the ish to the isha. The isha is mamshich her shaydish, and that blesses also the ish both together. Both al derech zel mein says that biur oich in the minyan and al for Rabbi Wolosow are similar to that, and but is the explanation about the idea of Rabbi Abba and Rabbi Wolosow. Zeir haliche b'derech is in Yonah. What does it mean? They were walking on the road. The Yerida to Mevarer Zayin in Yonah Hoylom. They were descending to sort out worldly matters. Vidosis bepashtus, and as simply as Rabbi Wolosow, the Zun for Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai. Rabbi Wolosow, who was the son of Shimon bar Yochai, and Rabbi Abba, who was Mechaber Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai. Zayin given Teirosom umnoson, their crafts was Torah. Abgetrogen von Yonah Ha'olam. They were basically always occupied in learning Torah. They didn't have to, they were stepped away from worldly matters. Is the halicha b'derech. So when they were walking in the street, even though the walking in the street afilu for the purpose of limachme la'abuyi, to visit his father, given I have second yurida, that's an interruption to descent. And going from Zeyer, Maimed, Matzav, they left there standing in their situation. On the far Oich Zokt Rabba Abba, that's what Rabbi Abba says, Taka Neima Milin der Reise. Let's say words of Torah. Why there's a Balbich Deit so Ifton in Welt, because in order to accomplish in the world that and hopen in the Sinas Koyach on Siyua from Torah, we need the power that we get and the support from Torah. Al derech vigeret kama pa'amim, similar to what we've spoken many times, as the nesinas koyach in avodas haberurim from Abal Esek. That what gives the strength for a Bal Esek to do, a business person to be able to do his sorting out, to machem from Welt adirelo yizbarech, to make the world into a dwelling place for him, is need. It's not just when he learns Torah in the beginning of the day. After he finishes davening, he goes to learn. That's not what gives the strength. Not enough. And then he goes and deals in the world in the worldly matter. But also when you're business, when you're working, you need the support. And you need the koyach that you get from Torah. You need, at the time of the work, you need the light of Torah to infuse you and give you support. If davsich by him on in the ilu from Torah, you must sense the advantage, the greatness of Torah. And that brings him, because of sensing that, that he steals from the time of his business to study Torah. When the Ribber hat Rabbi gesagt zu Rabbi Wolosow, so if Rabbi says to Rabbi Wolosow is named Hashem Elikei Avi Be'ezri. The God of my father is my help. So he says to him, as in der halich b'derech gufa, that while we're walking in this road, darf men hopen dem ezem ilmailo, we need the support from above. Was das kommt durch neimon milin de reise, by saying words of Torah. Euch. Also when they're on the road. Durch them, that's why he said, Nisgale the Maile from the Birur Hanetzutzes, That way, it's revealed the advantage of sorting out the nitzutz in the world, halicha bederech, was macht von der Welt adirele is borich, that makes for the world a dwelling place of the avodah from limud haTorah mitzad atzma, and more than learning Torah by itself, you reveal the Maila of Torah, Maila of the Tzutzis of Torah through the fact because you're saying Milin de Oiraisa. Zion, Apizay is moving Oich ben Gaya, so Avram Vesora, Valderach Zen Neshama V'Guf. So the Apizay we also understand as it relates to Avram Vesora and Neshama V'Guf. In the Halicha B'Derech, when we go on the road, the Yeride Mitzrayim, going into Egypt by Avram and Sarah, in Golus, Yid, Al-Derech Zed, the Yerid Sa Neshama B'Guf B'Chlal, similar to the same thing is when the Neshama descends into a body. Dar Zayin the Amira, the Hashpah for Avram LeSorah. So there needs to be saying, Avram needs to say to Sarah, for the Neshama in Guf, in the Neshama in the body. Because the Hashpah state in them, the flow, what does it say? Imri no achoisiat. Say that you're my sister, as their guf zol der herem bechinas achoisi, that the body should sense that there is a maila in achoisi. The maila is avoida v'gilu neshama, the advantage of the avoida and the revelation of light in the soul. Durch dem werde noch aufgetan ki de boyi. Then you can really accomplish as properly that the nishkuf should able to do it properly. The avodah von isha is by recognizing that it's the milo v'achoisi, the avodah milo for the guf mitzad atzmo, the service and the advantage of the guf of itself. Only after it has, like he says, that even by limud by Abalesek, he has to have the illumination limud haTorah. That's when you can feel the sense of the advantage of the avodah from the guf or isha itself. Was hot a hecher and shoydish and neshama, which has a higher root of the neshama. As vert nizgale the maile in bechinas ishti, it's revealed the advantage and the level of ishta. But it's a guf over the achoisi, which is the service of the neshama. Davke when the guf senses that there is a maile in the neshama, in the oir. That actually impacts and affects an elevation of the soul itself. Because of you, because of the body, because of the neshama, because of Sarah, Avram gets the neshama gets. As Mandi is one who merits a isha maskela has it all. Parnosa b'schus ishtay, the parnosa in this chus of his wife. Signen acher ktsasti is a little different style. Durch avodas haneshama beguf, when the person works with his soul in the body, by idei haguf in chalke ba'ilman, through the body in his portion of the world. Was der guf mitzad atzmei is chumri hanidme b'chumri yusil guf is umisoilam, quoting from the Tanya that when the neshama works with the guf, and the guf in of itself is a materialistic. It seems almost like a non-Jewish body. It's a chumri. Was the farken, but the chumri is from Welt Mitzrayim Erva Sa'oret. So therefore, when we talk about the materialism of world, which is Mitzrayim Erva Sa'oret, is called the erva of the land, the nakedness of the land, the worst of the land. So in Ervas, Zaina Kosol Kadaitoch, they have a thought as their guf is shayich to say. They think that it belongs to them. Like by Sorah, she was taken to the house of Pare. They thought it's ours. Is aber durch them, was in it is made the Abba Neshama. Through that in the kuf it lights the love and the light of the Neshama, Bechinas Achoisi, level of Achoisi. Then that level of love is actually, when you get the light of the neshama, the avaver neshama, in the level of achoisi, which means you recognize the level of the neshama, which is level of Avram, that the noch oivgiton That also accomplishes the love in the body nefesh habes. The avodah was is verbunden mit birur v'zichur haguf, but is tied to the sorting out and the refinement of the body. Then also the portion of the world to what you have to work with, refining your body yourself, refining your portion in the world. And then is revealed the choice of the atzma, was is in guf davka, which is in the body, euch zu der neshama, also the soul. Was begilu vet zayin la'osid lavoi. This will be openly in the future to come. Was demoled vet the neshama zayin yezunis min haguf. The neshama will then benefit and fed from the body, because the body is going to be in the main. This is Sichas Shabbos Kodesh Parshas Tazria Mitzora Hey Tovshin Lametes.